Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and the Energy Minister Chris Bowen will meet industry and union leaders today to address the national energy crisis. This is our top story this morning, and for more on this, we're joined by the Grattan Institute's Energy Program Director, Tony Woods. So, trying to find a solution here, it's not so easy. Tony, as we've spoken about many times in the past, what would be your initial response if you were involved in those conversations today?
Well, I think what I've already seen and heard from the new government is pretty well where I think is the right response, and that is get the best information, get the best advice and act on that. I think the intervention by our email yesterday to suspend the market because the physical market really wasn't able to respond in a way that was necessary for the financial market to work well, suspend the financial market, and basically our email will now buy and sell electricity at fixed prices until things settle down. I think the government will be able to get the best information, more than I've got, about exactly what's happening with all the various power stations. When will they be expected to be back online? And once you've got that information, you can plan on what to do next. It may still be necessary to do something on the gas side. But so far, I think we're heading, but what's being done are the right things. It doesn't mean we've suddenly solved the problem, because there's a lot of things which are difficult to predict from here, I think, Peter.
Yeah, okay, a few points to pick up there, Tony. So how long do you think until this all settles down?
Well, I guess that's literally unpredictable. And it's the only thing that, excuse me, Peter, it determines that is that each of these plants that has been offline has got different problems. A technical problem with one that blew up last year in Queensland, flooding of the coal mines in New South Wales, and some difficulties with gas-fired power stations, mainly a combination of getting gas to the stations and price. Each of those has the solutions and different timelines. The most important one is getting the coal-fired power stations back online. There's at least 2 units in Victoria, at the 2 power stations, Loy Ang A and Yallourn, that are offline. Each of those has to be assessed as to why they're offline and how they can be brought back online. And until you've got that information, you can't determine. That could be, several weeks yet. It might not be as long as that. AEMO would not have intervened if it was only going to be a few days.
Okay, so it could be several weeks. Are you convinced that generators were gaming the system, Tony?
Gaming the system, I think, is not the term I would use. I think generators may have been put in a very difficult situation where they were going to be asked to produce electricity, and the cost of making that electricity was going to be more than they were going to be paid.
Yeah.
Now, that's understandable. And one of the things that happens when the AEMO does what they've done now is they can direct the generators to run. The generators can run knowing that if they've got to buy gas at a high price, then those prices will be able to be recovered. And we'll end up paying those prices, of course, eventually. But that will make sure that they can run and they know they won't be forced to run at a loss. Of course, Peter, that just opens up the other issue is about why we've got these extremely high gas prices and what could be done about that,
okay,
because I think there's some suggestion of windfall profits being made.
Okay, well, on that point, I mean, I do want to ask you, and I'll probably close here because we're out of time, but Dan Walton from the union was on the program a short time ago, and I don't think this can be a short-term fix, but one of his solutions is got to stop sending so much gas to overseas markets, to trim that back a bit. That will have, that will cost us some lucrative contracts, obviously, but is it that simple to do that?
Look, I don't think it is, to be honest. I know there are a lot of people who've suggested we should have something called a reservation policy, but even if we had gas reserved for the domestic market, most likely it would have been contracted to domestic customers. Right. We don't just have a lot of gas just sitting around ready to be used in these circumstances. Maybe we should, but we don't. And we don't even have the physical capacity to suddenly produce gas almost out of nowhere.
Okay. It's always good to have you on, Tony Wood. You explain it well. Thank you. We'll talk to you again soon.